to the Nursing Dose with your host, Farah, aka Dr. Laurent. I have a very special guest today. We have Tina Baxter from the Nurse Shark Academy. So excited to have you on. She's going to introduce herself in just a moment, and we're going to be talking about how to start your side gig as a nurse, right? So, thank you and welcome, Tina. Go ahead and tell them about yourself.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for inviting me here because this is a topic I get excited about. So, by way of introducing myself, I'm going to tell you how I kind of got into
Yes.
being a side hustler. I'm what I consider an accidental on purpose entrepreneur. I had a business before I knew what it was to have a business. I started out as a nursing student teaching CPR classes on the side just to make extra cash. I had no idea that could ever be a business. My thought was, hey, I just need extra money, to buy whatever. And I learned how to teach the classes, and I came under some really great nurses that mentored me. And one of them gave me a PRN job at the hospital in the education department just so I could help them out on classes, but also because I could get access to their equipment. So I didn't have to actually buy equipment, I could just rent their equipment. So I had corporate contracts before I knew it. People would call me and say, "Hey, can you come to my doctor's office and train all my nurses and my medical assistants?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." So it never occurred to me to make it formal, to have a contract, all these things that I teach our people to do. I didn't know anything about that.
I'm sorry.
Yep,
Two kids in the
I,
back.
I I get it. I get it.
Mom life entrepreneur type side hustle stuff right here.
Yes.
Great.
So that's how I got started as a nursing student. I've been teaching CPR for over 25 years now, and it kind of grew from there. I'm a nurse practitioner, still practice clinically full time, but I also run my own businesses.
Awesome. So amazing. So for the people who are watching out there, please let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what city, what country. Drop any questions that you may have about, maybe if you're a nurse wanting to start a business and you're not sure quite how to do it, put the comments there. If you happen to be watching the replay, we'll go back and answer some of those questions. So can that's a great story that you told about, you were kind of doing your thing and not really knowing, kind of everything that was going on. But there's a lot of nurses out there that may be thinking about you like, listen, I want to get into business, not quite sure what type of business I want to do. Or maybe they have an idea, but they don't know how to go about it. So what's your first tip to them?
My first tip is to kind of take an assessment of your skills, sort of the what do you have in your hand philosophy.
Right.
And so I started with teaching CPR because that's what I knew how to do. I trained to do that, and I kept it up all these years, just again, making extra money. And
Mhm.
it wasn't until I got with my business partners that we decided to train CNAs. And that was the first business that I opened up with them, that I took what I learned as a CPR instructor and incorporated that in our training. So our students would get their CPR and first aid right there in our program. So they'll be set up for success. So I would take an inventory of what skills you already have, no matter what they are. Please hear me, because I never would have known that I could have had a podcast or anything like that, and that the skills that I developed in high school would make a difference. So
Mhm.
in high school, I was a radio disc jockey, right? I had my own
Oh,
show.
fun facts. Fun facts.
Yes. I ran out of classes to take. I'm a big nerd. I ran out of classes to take in high school. I needed something to fill in that gap. So I took radio and broadcasting. And
Awesome.
then I had a show in college. So let's fast forward to 2022, and
Mhm.
I started and launched my podcast.
Awesome.
And I didn't recognize that I had developed some of those skills way back when in high school that
Mhm.
helped me be more comfortable behind the scenes, behind the mic, doing a live show and interviewing people. I say that to say that there may be experiences in your life that you've had that will come out now, and you can certainly use that. So
Yeah.
if you're, for example, a baker, maybe you are a great baker, and you see that there is a need for nutritious, healthier baking, people who are diabetic or on special diets, and you know how to make those type of recipes, and you
Mhm.
love to bake, maybe that's your business. So find out what you love and take from the skills that you already have, because you can always build on that and go further.
That's amazing. Because you're right. Sometimes nurses, think too big. Like, it doesn't, your business doesn't have to be so extravagant and so large, right? And you don't have to do anything in healthcare, because sometimes we get stuck in this, okay, I'm a nurse, I'm in healthcare. Like you said, yes, if you got the skills for CPR, for example, or something like that, great. But you don't necessarily have to. Like you said, you could do a baking business, a candle business, whatever it is. But I think the biggest thing too is you want to make sure that it's profitable and that there is a need for what it is that you're doing, right? So we always talk about the example of, like, Blockbuster, right? And like Netflix, newspapers, right? You're not going to do something that like nobody wants kind of thing anymore. You just have to make sure that it's still a need out there that people will go ahead and do. So what do you say to those nurses that they're really stuck, right?
Mhm.
Mindset is a big thing. They're like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'm enough. What do you say to those nurses that are struggling with being stuck or having that
Well,
mindset issue?
let's go back to your first comment, and then I'll answer your second
Sure,
question, because
sure.
I think it's important that we do our due diligence. So if you're going to have a business, see, a lot of us start our businesses with us in mind, ourselves, right? We think
Right.
this is what I want to do, and I'm all excited about my project and my thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you have to make sure there's a market for it. Your
Right,
business should exist to answer a need in the marketplace, or it won't be successful.
right.
So one of the things I looked at, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do this, but there's a lot of home care agencies where I live. There, I mean, there's like one on every corner. So
Mm,
if you're going to create another home care agency, then and you can, then you would have to find out what makes your agency different from all the other agencies around you. So if
right,
you're going
right,
to find a niche, you have to, one, discover, is it something that's needed in the marketplace? Are you answering a problem or a void where there is? And if you're doing something that's have competitors in it or people already doing it, what's going to set you apart and make you different from them?
right,
And
right. What's
so
your value proposition type thing?
exactly.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
so you have to look at it from the customer standpoint, not necessarily what you
Mhm.
want. So, for example, when I do a training, I often have things I get excited about and I want to train about, right? But it's
Mhm.
important for me to meet the need of the customer. So I will answer their questions and meet their need, and then introduce later, hey, maybe you might want to consider this, and expand their horizons to show them, oh, I am also in need of this, but I'm going to meet your problem first. I'm going to answer that problem first
Right.
before I show you the great other things that I can add. And I think that's part of our problems. But then you go on to the whole mindset. And that is something that as nurses, we really need to cultivate and work on, because we're used to being told what to do. We
Yeah.
get an order, we follow the order, we get the protocol, we follow the protocol. We're used to the parameters, but now all of a sudden we have our business and we have to come up with the protocol and the parameters for the people that will be working with us or for our customers in their experience. And so now we have to really identify who we are and be strong in who we are. So one of the things I hear a lot of nurses say is, "I'm just a nurse," and I
Nah, nah.
hate that.
We
I
don't like that.
no, no. I'd like to turn it around. I said, "No, you are a just nurse." What does that mean? That means you advocate for your patients. You advocate for what is right. You stand in the gap for your coworkers. You are a forefront person and you're a leader in your profession. You are a just nurse, not just a nurse. And so
Right.
I take that and turn that around. And so one of the things we work on in the coaching program is your mindset and getting rid of some of those limiting beliefs that said, I can't I
Right.
say if everything is figure outable, right?
Yes.
You can figure it out.
I had that on my desk. Actually, I still have it. It's a little sign. It says everything is figure outable. That that's part of that
Yes.
ER back. You're totally right. Right. I was gonna ask you something about your last point. It totally slipped away. Um, about what makes you different and that type of stuff. I think
Mhm.
also um, it's okay. You can still do these things, but like you said, you have to look at how well you're doing it. If you want to start a cleaning company or whatever the thing is, but like time is a big thing, right? We also have to
Yes.
think about like even nurses, right? We don't like to spend a lot of time doing things. Like, okay, show me, the fastest way or whatever it is. So I think it's the same thing, like you're saying, like customer service and delivery or the experience, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
You really got to think about that. So talk to me more about your program. How do you start off really with your clients who are interested in starting the business? Like, what are the fundamental things that you kind of go through in the beginning?
One of the things we talk about is your why.
Mm-hmm.
There's two parts to this why. One is, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Where are you trying to go with this? Because if you don't have a good reason or a solid foundation for that, it's going to be so easy for you to get discouraged and derailed and not go further. The second why is, why does your business exist? Because you have to be able to answer those questions so that you can build from there. So we actually start with a little bit of mindset work from day one.
Right.
And I kind of introduce those things because when we get to the part of we're trying to write your business plan and do your market research, if you're not clear on who you're serving, why you're in this business, what you're going to do, you're going to get lost. You're going to be tired. You're not going to want to do the things that you need to do. And
Right.
can I just say that if you're sitting on the fence right now and you're thinking, oh, it's too much, I don't have time to start my business, can you start getting ready? See, you have to take that first step.
Right. Right.
People look at me and think, oh, you're doing everything, you're doing a lot. Yeah, but I didn't do it all in one day. I didn't start there. I started as a CPR instructor. I started learning how to be a CNA instructor. I added to my businesses as we went along. And so the key is just to start. So maybe you want to start a CPR school. You want to train and do CPR. So maybe your place to start is to find out where you can be trained to be an instructor. Where's the class is going to be? How much is it going to cost to have the class? If you have to save up money for the cost to attend the class, find an extra shift to work to pay for that class. You start where you are, and you
Mhm.
may have to start slow. When we started our CNA training school, this is how we got a lot of our equipment. We went to people that we knew. We approached nursing homes that we knew and said, "Hey, are you giving away any beds? You getting rid of something? Any medical equipment that you don't want? You want to clean out your warehouse? We'll be happy to take." We went to flea markets and found these really big safes. They were fireproof filing cabinets for our student files. You know how much those things cost if you buy them retail. So we were able to find those types of things. And so piece by
Mhm.
piece, we began buying the equipment and finding the things that we needed so that when we got ready to open, we were ready to open. And so this is why I say start where you are and
Mhm.
start today. Don't wait. So if it's finding a coaching program that you need to get into, go
Right.
listening to someone's blog. I was listening to a podcast the other day, a few years ago, I should say, and one of the businesses that was presented was a lice removal business. And I thought, this sounds amazing. This nurse is making all this money. She was a school nurse, LPN. She started this lice removal business. She was making six figures in this business in her first year. I said it was a franchise model. Sounds great. I researched a franchise. We only have two in our state. I would be perfectly located in the middle of the state for this. I was like really excited about it. Sound like a good, solid business plan. But then it came down to this. I don't like head lice. I would be miserable If I had to remove headlights every day, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Great,
yeah.
great business. Anybody's interested in that, I can find that information for you and pass it on to you if you want to be in a lights removal business. But it wasn't the right business for me.
Right.
And
Exactly.
sometimes we choose things because we see the profitability, we can make this money, it's an open area, great niche, but it may not be right for you. And that's why I don't own a home care business. I like home care, but I
Right.
also know I would not like to be the one owning the home care and doing this every day. So what I've come up with is that, I like building the home cares. I like helping other people open up their home care. I just don't necessarily want to run a home care. And so I found a way that works for me. So I've helped coach people in building home cares and staffing agencies. And I was helping one massage therapist to open up a massage therapy school. And in the process of working with her, this is again where your why comes in. She started it and then realized, I don't think I really want to do this. And that's okay. That's why the program is set up the way it is. So that you discover what it is that you really want to do. I had another client and she came to me to help her start a home care. And as we're talking, she kept talking about supplying aids to the nursing home and in home care businesses. And I said, wait a minute. You don't actually want to start a home care. What you're excited about is a staffing agency. The reason why you're miserable, you're in the wrong business.
Hmm.
And once she flipped her business, she did so much better.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point because I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of nurses come to me about, and they'll say things like, "Well, I want to start something on the side, not really sure what to start." So it's a lot of, like you said, reflection and really seeing what it is that number one they want to build, because as we talked about, it takes a long time to actually build something sustainable because it's a long game, right? So people
Mhm.
think that it's just going to be something quick. So it's something that you definitely have to build, like you said, and it takes time to get everything set up to build this business. And then number two is it going to be profitable? Because yes, you can like doing something, and you're like, yeah, let me start this business. But if nobody wants it, right, it's going to be you're just going to put all your effort and money into something, and then nobody's going to want to buy it. So that's definitely foundational.
But
I think to
I
start.
also don't want you to be afraid to try new things
Right.
because people see me now and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're great." Yeah, but you missed the part where I partnered with a genetics testing company, and we were trying to do some things in that area, and it didn't work out. And then I partnered with another company that was doing allergy testing, a startup. And I was a nurse practitioner. They just contracted with me to help run it, the clinical part of it. But then
Right.
it ultimately ran into regulatory hurdles and they weren't successful. A couple years later, another company comes out with their very idea that they had, and they were able to be successful with it. So, again, don't be afraid to try new things. And so there are many ventures that I tried that didn't work out, but that's okay. I learned something every time along the way. And so now I'm a lot better at picking the things that I want to do and realizing that, hey, this fits my mission and my goals. It is something I want to be a part of. But in other aspects, I've just learned to say, that's not the right opportunity for me, but maybe I know someone that's a perfect opportunity for them. So don't be afraid to try new things because you never know where it could lead to. I decided to try to be a radio broadcaster, and look what it led to. It took years to get there,
Yeah.
um, but it actually panned out. And so that's why I want to tell people: don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. Okay, if you're gonna fail forward and fail fast. So when those other ventures didn't work out, I didn't, give up. I just moved on to the next thing. We kept rolling on. And so some of those people I'm still friends with today. The gentleman that owned the company for the allergy testing, he ended up owning a different company and doing some things with cardiac something, and he's doing great, joint replacements and all this kind of stuff. So he's doing
Yeah.
his own thing. I'm still friends with these people. I mean, I brought them to a dinner I was having with the chamber. I made them my guests at our corporate table. I'm like, hey, come on, sit, be our guest at our table. So I still keep in contact with them and
Tell,
hear from them every now and then.
tell the people where you are located so they know.
Yeah. So I'm in Anderson, Indiana. But the great thing with technology today, I can help you all over the world. And I've talked to people all over the world. And and again, may not know specifically your market. Like I had a gentleman from India, and I was talking with him, and he was wanting to start a business or do something. Very brilliant man, has a PhD and everything, but had to go back home to take care of his parents and wanted to start a business. And so I started exploring with him. I said, what can you do? I don't care if it's selling fruit by the side of the road. What can you do to get started to move towards your business? He now has a nonprofit, and he's working on that. So, whatever it is, start where you are and build from there. If it's reading a book or taking a course or investing in a coaching program or making extra, working extra shifts, you can afford the coaching program. What
Right.
is it that you can do to get started today? Because I can guarantee you, the longer you wait to get started, the harder it is going to get you into the momentum. And so I know a lot of people who are like, well, I kind of woulda, shoulda.
Right.
Other thing we neglect to do as budding entrepreneurs is we forget to count the cost. The Bible says that, why would a man build a house and then don't count the costs? And I see a lot of entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs doing that. I've talked to people, they're like, okay, I want to do this business. I said, oh, great. Do you know what your startup costs are going to be? Well, no. I said, okay, well, let's work on that and see who you need to hire to help you depending on your project, or if you can do it as a solo practitioner. Do you have the location? Because if you're opening up a CPR training school, a lot of times they want you to have a place to go. You can't do it in your home, depending on your training center.
Right.
Same thing for CNA training. So, do you have a space in mind that you're going to lease? How much is that going to cost you a month? Have you started putting money aside to invest into your business, or do you have an angel investor that's going to come in and give you money to start your business? These are all those questions that we ask up front, because a lot of times we have this idea, but we don't know how to go forward. And so there's two or three ways that you can fund your business. The first is you get a good business plan, you get a bank loan, and they approve you. Okay. That may or may not happen, depends on your credit and all this other stuff. Second way, you get investors. Investors come and they give you money to help start your business, but they own a piece of your business and they're going to want their money back with some interest. And the third way is to be a bootstrapper. And that means as you go along, you're socking aside money so you have the seed money to start your business. And so
Right.
I talk to some people,
Yeah.
and sometimes they don't have the 25 or $50 it costs to start their LLC. So um, if that's where you are, I'm not saying you can't start your business. I'm saying now's the time to start making plans of how you're going to get the money for the business. Are you going to work on your credit so you can get that loan? Are you going to go through a program like with your local chamber of commerce to see if they have a program to help you launch? All the things that you need to do. So you need to do that research and get ready to launch your business before you even, start spending money that you don't have. Learn to count the cost, figure it out. Don't be afraid to see that big number. Again, we bought equipment over time. So
Right.
I put a lot of things in my Amazon wish list, right? I'm like, okay, when this comes on sale, how I purchase some of the stuff for my school is that you can go online as a healthcare provider and do surveys, and these companies will send you gift cards. And so I would get Amazon gift cards. And sometimes those surveys would be up to $100 or something. And so I would take that $100 gift card and I go buy a piece of equipment for my school. And so I was constantly reinvesting in the school without having to take out of money out
Right.
of my finances. And so I found
Yeah, there's a lot of also business, grants that are out there
yes,
as well. So there's a lot of things that are available. There's a lot of also entrepreneur type pitching. There's pitching contests where you
yes,
can go to pitch your potential idea, and if you win, sometimes they can give you up to like 20,000 or 30,000, depending. So figure out, just googling even, because there's ways that you can actually get money without like taking out a loan or something like that. And it just depends. But I think a lot of nurses that are out there that are still working, maybe that want to start a side hustle. A lot of nurses go into like say consulting or coaching, as you and I are doing. I'm a career coach and also, helping nurses with, different things like branding. That's something else, right? Because you may not have your idea, let's say just now as you're talking, but being visible, I think, is very important because when you now want to launch something, you now have a support, right? You have a community. So we have just a few minutes left, but like, what would you say your top three tips for nurses out there who want to start a business? What are the top three tips that you would give them or advice?
One, do your homework. Take the time to do the research to find out what you need to do to open up your business and get your ideas. So a lot of times we're like, no, that's a lot of effort. We don't know if the business is going to be viable. You won't know until you do the research. The second thing I would do is find your tribe. Find somebody that is in your corner that can help you. And you want to have a mentor, a coach. Get your Once you start your business, you want to make sure you have an attorney, a CPA, all those regulatory hurdles. Ask the questions first because you don't want to get started and find out, oh, you made a mistake and now you got to try to backtrack and you
Right.
get into legal issues. And lastly, I'm going to say don't be afraid to ask for help. So many times we get out there, we want to do it all on our own, but that's not the way to go. Um, Most companies, they started out with people that were helping them.
Right.
And we, particularly as women, sometimes have a hard time asking for help because we want to be independent.
Yeah.
And if you need assistance in something, don't forget to ask for help and surround yourself with positive people.
Yes.
Remove those negative people that are that are be talking trash in your head or tells you that you can't. My business began to thrive when I removed negative influences out of my life. Am I saying I'm not friends with some of those people anymore? No. I'm saying I limit my contact with them because they can't run like I'm running.
They're in the bleacher seats,
Yes.
not in the front row.
Sometimes they're still in the parking lot. They haven't made it into the arena yet. And so I encourage them, but I can't drag people along with me. And this
Exactly.
is something that I've learned. And so I want to reach back and help people, but I can only help you as far as you're willing to go. And so with my coaching clients, I like to pour a lot into them, but I'm only going to work as hard as you are. I'm not
Right.
going to work harder than you. And I learned that with my students. If you really want it, you're going to show up for class.
Right, right. And I think that's what it is, to kind of, as we're ending, there's so much to talk about. I know it's a short time, but we could definitely talk about this and maybe on another time. And I was actually on her podcast as well. So definitely check out her podcast. We'll put the links below later. But what I like, I follow a lot of different people, a lot of millionaires like Alex Hermosi and Layla Hermosi and these types, right? People have to realize that it takes years, right? It
Hmm.
can take like 5 to 10 years before somebody even knows who you are or knows your business. And that's what it is. You can build a great business, but if nobody knows about it, they don't know you, they don't know what service you provide or product, they're not going to be able to buy it. So that's why that branding piece and what you talked about, finding your tribe in the community, I think is very important. So, um, you know, tell the people where to find you, and then we'll drop the links at the end.
Sure. So you could always go to our website, the nurse-shark-academy.biz. You can follow me on my social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Alignable, Instagram, Twitter.
Hmm.
And then you could always just give us a call at 765-387-8046. That's my office number. And you can always get in touch with us there. And don't forget to like our show, the Nurse Shark Academy Show. You can find us um, on YouTube as well as through Podbean on Apple and Spotify.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to my show coming on, the one that we did. I think it'll
Yes,
be in
it's
August.
coming soon. It's coming soon.
Yeah, so I'm so excited about that. So definitely we'll have you back again, maybe in the future, because this is really, I think, a big topic. A lot of nurses are wanting to get into business but not sure how. So definitely follow Tina Baxter. You can also follow me on YouTube and all these different platforms. But again, I thank you for coming on, and it's always nice to see other nurses that are trying to really help other nurses get into business, because I really think that we have all the transferable skills to really do it. So again, thank you. I appreciate your time,
Yes.
and thank you everybody for watching. Until next time. All right, hang on for just a moment.